Hello, everybody. Say hello. Let me know that you can hear me. Pop a comment below if you can, so I know that I am on the right track and I have sound. I don't want to give you all this information with no sound, so I will just hang on. Hi Ange, just give me a thumbs up or a wave to let me know that you can hear me fine, please. Sound check Ange, thank you. Awesome, thanks for that. Okay, I know I'm probably a couple of minutes early, so we will just hang in there just a little bit. As you come on, hi Tan, as you come on, thanks Ange, if you can let me know what it is that the topic that you are most interested today, let me know. Pop a little comment below. I want to know what the topic is that you are most interested in today. Because, women's health is a huge topic and it's a really subjective topic, and it's a topic that is so individual and so unique. It is really, really hard to drill down into what everyone wants to know. So I am going to open it up a little bit. I have got quite a lot of questions that I want to get through that people have sent me privately, which we'll try and address. However, if it goes over time today, I am willing to do a part 2 for you all to make sure that we cover everything. Hey, Lise. So if you can, bear with me. We're just going to, as I said, I've got a lot of stuff that I want to get through. But if I can't get through, then we will do a part 2 to this, because women's health is a huge topic. All right, so for those of you that may not be watching now and might be watching a little bit later and who don't know me, because we have had a few people request to join the group today to watch this. So, my name is Rochelle and I help women step off the sidelines of life, find their mind-body connection and live well. So basically, I am a qualified movement coach, a pelvic floor exercise coach, a safe exercise coach, a female health and performance coach, and I also write articles and I post and blog on all of these subjects. I also present on them too in my spare time. Don't know how I do all that, but I do. Anyway, so many of my clients are all different ages. However, I would say that most of my clients are 40 and they're looking for balance, well-being in their life. Hi, Sue. Moving into those transitional years and beyond. So, as a woman who is 47, I'll be 48 this year, there's not a lot of information out there for the transitional time. So I will call it a menopausal transitional time. So we go from perimenopause through into menopause and then into postmenopause. So in that time, it's called a menopausal transition time, and there is not a lot of information out there about this time of our lives. So it's important that we, one, find a good women's health doctor that you trust and that has all the knowledge. Hey, Judes, that has all the knowledge that you need. So you want to find one, and they are hard to find, but I do have a few on the Gold Coast. So if anyone's on the Gold Coast and they want to know a women's health specialist, let me know, because I can send you to one. And I can also look at across the country and worldwide if need be too, because I have a lot of connections in the area. So just a little disclaimer, I am not a doctor in any sense of the word. And if you have an issue or you bring up something that is out of my scope on this live, then I will important. Okay, I just locked out there. Is everyone still with me? Give me a hey if you are. It said I had a poor connection, the internet. Okay, so if there is a question that is out of my scope, I will refer you to a medical doctor. So just letting you know that. I will answer every question. I will try to answer every question as well as I can, but of course I am not a medical doctor. Hey, Shay. All right, so a little bit more before we move forward. This is your body and you need to look after it, and having the best knowledge and about your body can only help you moving forward in the transitional times of your life. So today, let's start. Thanks, Shay. Everyone can still hear me because it just dropped out for a little bit. We're all good? Yeah, okay, beautiful. So I am lifting the lid on women's health and hormones today, and you're on for a big ride. Thanks, Ange, for letting me know. So let's just open the topic. Let's open the discussion up. Get it out of the closet. We're not in the dark ages anymore. And we're going to lead with science first. So what is the topic that you are most interested in hearing about today? If you can pop that down into the comments, that would be helpful. If you have a question for me along the way, pop it in the comments. I will do my best to grab it and answer it. If I can't answer it, I will try and answer it for you at a later time. Okay, so what I intend today is to give you the strategies to help yourself. So although I will be giving you answers on the why of things that happen within your body, I'll also be providing questions for you to ask yourself. Here's the things with women's health. There's a lot of variables, pretty much. There's heaps of variables with the women's health. And there's also a lot of unknowns. Science, though, is coming a really, really long way in the understanding of women's health and hormones, but we also have a long way to go. And what I really love about women's health is that we are all so unique and individualized. So what may work for Auntie Mary may not be right for you and your body. And this is where it becomes quite complex. We are complex beings. Women, we are very complex. So I want you today to think practically and somewhat out of the box a little bit. And my go-to for absolutely everything is test it and measure it. So try it. If it doesn't work with the things that I'm going to give you, then try something else. The idea is to find out more about your body and how your body reacts and how your body likes to function optimally. All right. So a question that I did have come through was, how do I know if my period is normal? So these are for women that are still bleeding and are still getting periods at the moment. So normally a period is defined between 25 and 32-ish days, presenting with maybe some mild discomfort on the first 1 to 2 days, but it shouldn't be really painful. You would also be looking for, are you getting big clots, or are you having really heavy periods, or are they coming more frequently or less frequently between those 25 and 32-ish days? So think about what feels normal for you. If you are someone that gets a lot of pain with your period, well, then I would suggest that that may not be normal and might need investigating. So for myself, I've always suffered from period pain from the time I got my period, and I still do to this day, and I always knew that something wasn't right. But unfortunately, growing up in the times that we didn't have the medical knowledge, and so, the first thing they do is put you on the pill. That'll fix everything, put you on the pill. And yeah, it worked for literally after 12 years. One doctor listened to me and did some investigating, and this is why it's really important that you get a good women's health specialist, and found out that I had endometriosis and adenomyosis. So that is after a 12-year period of putting up with hair loss. I had no hair, my body wasn't functioning properly, my body was breaking down. It was breaking down for other reasons as well, but that's not what we're going into today. We're concentrating on the women's health. So right? And then I want you to investigate this. Investigate. Hey, Kayla, get a good women's health physio, women's health doctor, physio as well if you need one, and investigate your periods if they are not right, and keep going. It took me 12 years, but I finally got a diagnosis. And now I've had a surgery to help alleviate some of that right now. Okay, so perimenopause is looming, but how in it? Well, it can start anywhere from your early 40s. It can start earlier though, and it can take up to 10 years to transition into menopause. So symptoms include things like hot flushes, itchy skin, sleep disturbances, mood disturbances, lethargy, fogginess, so brain fogginess, low libido. Hey, Helena, food intolerances, and they're common, but you might be able to help yourself with some of these to help alleviate some of these symptoms that we get as we start to transition. Firstly, though, get your hormones checked by a women's health specialist. So you're looking at getting things like, and you should be doing this every year anyway, regardless of your age or where you are in your women's health journey. So get things like your estrogen and your progesterone checked. Things like vitamin D, vitamin B, cholesterol, blood sugars, thyroid function. All of these things are really important to get checked once a year if you can. And then, of course, you've also got things like your cervical screening, which is now once every 5 years, which is absolutely awesome. And then you've got your mammograms as well once you are 40 and over. So get those things checked every year. It's really important that you have the knowledge about your body and look after your body. Remember, if you've got any questions, people, let me know. Pop them below so I can answer them. Okay, so going back to perimenopause. If you're having some of these symptoms, then there are different ways that we can help alleviate them. So I'm going to take one of those symptoms, and one of the main ones that I hear a lot with my clients is they can't sleep well. Their sleeping is disturbed. And yes, it is part of perimenopause. There can also be some other underlying issues that are going on behind the scenes with your hormones as well. So questions to ask yourself is, what is your bedtime routine like? Do you have a bedtime routine? Shay, I thought mammograms were 50 and over. You can get a mammogram once every 2 years from 40 and over. So it's a really good idea if that's what you'd like to do, is go and get that done. So every 2 years after from 40 and over, and then when you turn 50, I think it's every year. So bedtime routine. Do you have a bedtime routine, or is your bedtime routine all over the place? Because that can affect your hormones in a really, really big way. Are you stressed? So how stressed are you? So one of the biggest factors coming out of all this scientific knowledge right now is the chronic stress. Chronic stress can be a huge part of the problem with women from perimenopause, going through that menopausal transition. If you can bring your chronic stress back under wraps, then there is less likelihood that you will have issues. Hey Sam, hey Ez. So, can you handball some of that stress out the window to somebody? How can you manage your stress? There are different ways that you can manage stress, and I do a lot of talking about those sorts of things. Again, we will just keep moving on though, but if you have a particular question, let me know. Okay, so things that you help yourself with are, can you read a book just before going to bed of a nighttime? Reading generally makes you feel a little bit sleepy. That can help turn this off. Brain's a big one. Help turn that off. to help you then calm down, relax. Make sure your room is nice and quiet and it's cool, it's not too hot. Make sure that it's nice and dark. Limit technology at least, and I know I bang on about this all the time to all of my clients, and you're probably all sick to death of me hearing about it, but it's really, me talking about it, but it's really important. Get off that phone at night. Get off the phone at least an hour before you go to bed. And don't look at your phone in the middle of the night if you do wake up in the middle of the night and you think, oh, well, I'm awake now, I'll just have a quick scroll. Please don't do that, because the blue screen that comes up, that flashes into your eyeballs, tells your hormonal system that you should be waking up, and it starts raising your cortisol. So you might be waking up, but then you're going to be even more awake because you've got that screen in front of you. So please don't look at your screen. Hey, Rach, of a nighttime in the middle of the night. Get up, get a little drink of milk if you want to, read a book, like an actual book for a little while if you need to, all of these things. The other thing you need to look at too is meditation. So meditation, I know, is hard for some people, so I'm going to give you something else to think about. Rather than putting on a meditation or a guided meditation, stare at the floor for 5 minutes. No distractions. Just stare at the floor for 5 minutes. It might sound a bit weird, and it sort of is, but it works. Just try it. It just takes everything away from you, and there's no distractions. So there's no noise, there's no phone, there's no computer, there's no kids running around in the background. It's just you staring at the floor. Sort of gives you a mind check, a bit like drawing a white sheet down, I guess. So, anyone got any questions before we move on about perimenopause? Let me know if you've got a question and we'll just keep going through. The other things that you might find with perimenopause as well is that you start to have a low libido. Again, it's a common thing that can happen. And again, if you go and see a women's health doctor, you can get this addressed. There's different drugs, there's different herbs for all of these sorts of things. But again, coming back to managing chronic stress is really one of the key players in this, as well as nutrition, hydration, exercise, mindfulness, sleep. All of these things all come into one. All right. The other question I've had as well is menopausal symptoms. So menopause is defined as 1 year or 12 months after a bleed. So you have to have gone 12 months before bleeding, without bleeding, to classify as being in menopause. And they say that the symptoms, which are very similar to perimenopausal symptoms, can continue on for an average of 4 to 5 years post-menopause, so once you've gone through menopause, but they might decrease in frequency and intensity. Some women, though, have reported that their symptoms last a lot longer than that 4 to 5 years. And the most common symptom that they hear about and that I've always heard about is that women are still experiencing hot flushes after they've gone through menopause. This was quite evident to me when I did a retreat October last year on active and healthy aging. And there were quite a few women in the group that were in their 60s and 70s who had been through menopause many, many years earlier, however, were still experiencing hot flushes. And it is, again, a common thing for women to experience, and I know you probably don't want to hear that. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it does happen. And once again, you need to go and see a women's health doctor to get that addressed. There are some different drugs that people that they can put you on. There's also other ways of looking at it, like lifestyle factors, like what we just went through. So again, any questions, let me know. Pop it below. Your menopausal symptoms are generally the same as your perimenopausal symptoms. There might be more dryness in the vagina. Those sorts of things are also more prominent as you go through menopause. And again, there are different surgical procedures like the Mona Lisa that you can look into that might suit you for that particular reason. So there's many options. It's just what works for you. So another question I've had as well from a lady who's going through perimenopause is that she's always feeling bloated. So the reasoning behind this is it can be due to the gastrointestinal tract becoming agitated at this time in our life. So it can become quite agitated. It's a common sign of perimenopause and menopause. And the mucosal lining in the body, so all the mucosal linings in the body, according to a small study that has been done, they become drier at menopause. So if you think about the esophageal, it becomes drier, more agitated. So it can be because of low estrogen and low progesterone, although it can also because the levels are fluctuating quite quickly. That can be one of the reasons why as well. And you may feel like you're getting heartburn all the time. And that's because the mucosal lining inside the esophageal is just getting agitated and dry. These are all the findings that we're just now starting to find out about perimenopause and menopausal effects on the woman's body. Now, if you all of a sudden start to get a dry cough around about perimenopause, menopausal time, that can also be a symptom of perimenopause, so in your 40s, 50s. Again, there can be some nutritional ways that you can get that looked at and other ways that you can help to alleviate those dry coughs. Going back to that women's health doctor is really, really important there. Don't forget, if you've got a question, let me know. That's what I'm here for. All right, we will move on. So another one, a big one, which I've just actually done a video on recently from my Active Aging Well for the 40 Plus Woman course. And it's on hot flushes. So this is a big one. This is one that I hear a lot about. This is one that I've started going through. So at night time, I'm waking up in a huge sweat. And I know that it is a perimenopausal symptom. It's not a great one, but, we got to do what we got to do to get through. So women come to me telling me that they're hot all the time or they're getting night sweats. So ruling out any other medical condition here, hot flushes is what it is. So the set point of your core temperature as a perimenopausal and menopausal woman changes. So your ability to regulate your internal temperature from external sources, so hot and cold externally, changes, means that you have a narrower range that you can tolerate. So basically, your set point as a perimenopausal or menopausal woman, that set point narrows. So any external changes in temperature, you're a lot more susceptible to those changes and you feel it more. So that's why we get hot flushes, because it's our body's way of regulating our temperature, which then calms the system down and tells our thermoregulation to hang on. We need to calm your body down. It's either way too hot or it's too cold. So we're constantly doing this. Pretty clever body, really, aren't we? Okay, so this is why you can feel hot all the time or hot at certain times. I will pop a link below after I finish on hot flushes so you can really dive into that video tutorial on how you can manage them. There are ways you can manage your hot flushes. Things like keeping a diary is really important on when they come about. So what some women that I've given this task to is they find that when they eat hot food, they can have a hot flush not long after. Or if a woman is really, really stressed, she's about to go into a meeting, she doesn't want to have a hot flush, but what happens? She has a hot flush. So there's different ways that you can pinpoint that when that hot flush might be coming about. And then there's different strategies you can take to help yourself maybe alleviate the hot flush a little or stop it completely. So stay off the chili if you know that does it. Try and do some breathing exercises just before you go into that meeting. It's all those little things that are really, really important. And then tracking that diary. So I'm a big one for tracking. I know if you're not a detailed person, it'd probably drive you mad. But tracking that diary and having a look at it after a month and going, okay, I've had this many hot flushes this week, this many this week. Again, it's just taking responsibility for your own body and really learning about what your body reacts to. Okay, another one. This is actually one that I've been experiencing recently, and you might have too, itchy skin. So if you are finding, if you're 40 and over, that you're starting to get a little bit itchy in your skin or you don't like certain materials on your body anymore, there's a reason why. There's a strong link between changes in your estrogen levels and a stimulation in histamine with the body at perimenopause and menopause. So see your doctor again for a proper diagnosis, but you might like to play around with different foods that produce histamine. So for instance, foods and drink, I should say. So for instance, fermented foods have a high histamine. Ange, you're making me itch, sorry. Hey, Michelle, dried fruits have a high histamine, avocado, eggplant, processed meats, and alcohol all have high histamine, so they may make you itch, and that can be something that you can take charge of. See how you go. Keep a diary of your itches. If you eat fermented foods, does that itch come up even more? It can also have to do with making you Michelle, sinus issues. I just talked about that actually. Just give me 2 secs, I'll come back to it. It can make you, so histamine is like, and it's, if you get like allergies and hay fever in your body, that's what histamine is. So the histamine in your body overproduces, causing either an itch or like a hive, or it can cause you to sneeze all the time. It can cause you to have headaches and make your eyes itchy, all those sorts of things. There's external sources and then there's internal sources. So, Michelle, depending on what you mean with sinus issues, if you're thinking about being dry, sinusy, if you go back and watch the video, you'll see me talk about how the mucosal lining all becomes dry. Otherwise, this could be a histamine issue with you as well if you're overproducing mucus. So again, looking at cutting back your fermented foods, alcohol, dried foods, avocado, eggplant, processed meats, all those sorts of things can help. But once again, get to a doctor, please. Get to a doctor to rule out anything else before you do that. I mean, you could do the nutrition side of things if you wanted to while you were seeing your doctor at the same time. Leonie, I've gone through menopause but started itching about a month ago, driving me insane. Okay, Leonie, have a look at those histamine-inducing foods. See if you might be able to cut some of those out and see if that makes a difference. Again, though, go back and see your doctor. And Michelle, you always wake up with sinus pain after alcohol. Yep, so I would say that has a direct relation to the histamine. Is it more wine that you are drinking, Michelle, or something different? Because wine has a higher level of histamine than, say, bourbon. So, yeah, that's really interesting. Okay. All right. So the other thing I'm going to get into that goes on top of that, on top of that is food tolerances. So food that you once could eat and not have an issue with, now all of a sudden you bloody can't. And it's annoying. So if you've got some food intolerances that you have found since turning 40, just doesn't sit with you, let me know. So our tolerances to sugar and starchy carbs can change as we head into menopausal transition. Oh, it's all fun, isn't it, girls? I can see you all gritting your teeth now going, what? So once upon a time, foods that you may have been able to eat, you're finding that just make you feel like crap now. So they might make you feel bloated. They might make you feel absolutely just no energy. You go diving down in energy. Okay, so again, I'm going to come back to this diary thing. Keep a diary of the different foods that make you feel crap. So for instance, I know if I eat a muffin, bought muffin from a shop, about half an hour to an hour later, I feel absolutely disgusting. I have a great big dive in my energy levels. I actually feel quite sick in the stomach, and there's this awful taste in my mouth. It's the sugars, and obviously when you're buying it from a store, there's a lot of sugar in it compared to when you make it at home, you can manage the sugar on it. So I just find that sugar sends my glucose level way too high quickly, and then I have this major crash about half an hour to an hour later, and I just feel like crap. And the coating inside my mouth just stays with me for ages, and I feel like I need to drink a lot of water all the time. Yep, any carbs bloat you, Michelle. Too much rice bread. Bread's a doozy. Bread is a doozy. Yep. So again, keep a diary of what foods trigger you. And then have a look. So do this diary for at least a month. Have a look at what it is. So if you write it out, ate a muffin today from the shop, and it made me feel this, and this. And then you would go on Friday. So you might do that Monday. On Friday, you might have a reaction to a sandwich. It made me feel this, and this. And then test it again at another day in the next week and see if it makes you feel the same. You'll notice a pattern. There will be a pattern that comes about. And then you'll start to think, this is crap. I don't want to feel like this. So I'm just going to not eat those things. So it doesn't just affect women. We have cut gluten out of Scott's diet and the pain and bloating has now subsided. Absolutely, Leonie, that's correct. But for today, I am talking about women's health in particular. But you are right. That's right. It can cause bloating and pain. However, some people are more susceptible. So again, for me, if I eat a muffin, it makes me feel like crap. But Michelle, you might be able to go and eat a muffin and there'll be no side effects. You'll be fine. So this is where a diary, an individualized diary, is really, really important for everybody. Okay, now where am I at? So keep a diary. Yep. Yeah, so we're getting back to knowledge is power. So the more you understand how your body reacts and what it likes and what it dislikes, the more likely you are to find things that are working well for you, and then you will stick with those things. All right, has anyone got any more questions? So I'm going to start wrapping this up now. If you've got a question, send it through. It's a really interesting topic, and again, what works for you won't work for the person sitting next to you necessarily, so you need to find solutions for yourself. Am I being clear on this, and am I being helpful with the information that I am giving? Give me a like, give me a no, or ask me a question if you don't think that I'm hitting the mark with these things. Shay, yep, thank you. Hitting the mark, beautiful. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. There is more on this, and I will do another one either at the end of the week or probably early next week, going more into one big question. It's a huge question, is I can't exercise the way I used to. So you used to exercise and be all gung-ho, but you can't exercise the way you used to. So I'm going to answer that, and I do have some really, really big tips for you in how you change your body, how you change how you do things for your body so it can adapt. All right, any questions? Last little bit before I go. Again, if you think of something afterwards, just pop it in the comments or send me a DM, and I can answer you that way. All right, thanks, girls. Appreciate you all coming on, listening to my live. I'll talk to you soon. Part 2 coming up. Wait for it.